Hey,
Shane's off someplace tonight.
okay, we're ready.
Shane is off someplace.
It must be. All right, welcome everyone. We'll get started with our audit committee meeting here on September 18th, 2025. Tonight we have Mayor Berube that's going to lead us in an invocation, thought, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Invocation or thought.
We'll start with an invocation.
All right.
That's good. Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful for all those blessed us with. We're grateful for the community we have and the good people that live here and their willingness to support those who are in need. We're grateful, Father, for the staff here at the city and all the good work they do and their commitment to the city. We're grateful for everything we have. We pray this night that we'll be directed to ask appropriate questions and gain an understanding of the finances of the city, which is a fiduciary duty that we as members of this committee have. We pray that all will be well in our community, that will watch over and protect those who are in need. And this is our prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Oh no, it's not working.
Just minimize this and pull up your screen again. Your
This?
yeah. No, just pull up your Edge browser and then go to your color flag there. There we go.
Read the pledge after me, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. No, thank you, Mayor Berube. First on our consent agenda, discussion and action to approve the minutes from January 9th, 2025. Those were all dispersed to us electronically. Do you have any discussion or a motion to approve?
I'll move that we approve those minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Randy. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Ryan. Thank you. All right. Any other discussion? Then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to the active agenda, public comments.
So 3 dots on more.
Trying to fix the camera view.
Oh,
Give me just 1 second. I don't see.
as long as it's not on me, it's fine.
Okay. All right, let's see if we have any raised hands. No raised hands.
No raised hands and there's no members of the public here.
Oh, there's 2 attendees.
What's that?
Just one, just.
There's 4 participants. So
Oh,
there's 2
Oh.
oh.
We do have people.
See,
Okay,
I
hold
didn't.
on. Yep.
Hold on. Yes. Okay.
Ben is our CPA.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
No comments?
No comments? All right, we'll move on to item number 3, discussion on review of fiscal year 2025 revenues, expenses, and quarterly financials. And our presenter will be Peter Brown, our finance director.
Thank you. So if you just want to bring up the shares, the
I
presentation.
got it, yes.
Yep, and then we can do that and just put share.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
Okay.
And then up at the top, go slideshow. And then
From
on the
beginning?
beginning, yep,
Okay.
perfect. All right, so thanks for doing that. This is kind of be sort of a repeat of what we talked about 3 weeks ago at the city council meeting. Just to kind of fill everybody in terms of helping them to decide some budgetary issues for 26 fiscal year. So it'll be a little bit of a review for some, and for others it'll be the first time to look at the financials, and that's okay. So just to be, as we go through this, a couple of things just to understand, as we're still in an unaudited framework. We haven't gone through the audit completely. However, all of the known expenditures and revenues have been recorded and I want to say almost all of the reconciliations related to our revenues and expenditures have been done. The things that we're still waiting to do relate primarily to, we've got some capital reconciliations, and we have some sort of year-end accounting things that we have to do. We'll talk a little bit about as we get into it. You'll see where there's a few things that we have left to do that will make some adjustments. Most of that will be in our assets and liabilities, not so much in our revenues and expenditures, but there might be a little bit of movement before we end. But really do believe we've got most of the material expenditures and revenues recorded here. So with that in mind, on this first slide, we're going to look at our quarterly review. This is to show that 100% of our budget's been expensed and revenued, whatever that term is. To note here is that in the general fund and the aquatic center fund, those are our general funds. Well, there's also the Cherry Days fund. I'll get to that in a minute. But the general fund and the aquatic center funds were able to exceed their revenue projections and stay under their expenditure projections for the end of the year.
That's good to see.
Yeah, it's exciting. We had some hidden revenues that we were trying to figure out where it all went to. And once Casey and I have been working on it for about a month to try to figure out where some of these they were recorded as miscellaneous revenue in our budget, and then we found what it was, and majority of it went to the aquatic center. So
Last year?
nope, it wasn't. It was just funds that were recorded as miscellaneous revenue. And when we saw where it came from and were able to pull the reports from our point of sale, they were able to be reconciled and put in the right spot. So
Aren't we doing some capital work over at the aquatic center? What did we do, Mayor?
Well, we set aside, I think it was about 1.9 million or 1.7 million. A lot of that we weren't able to get done this year, but we did get some done, I think, on the pumps and things of that nature. But the lining and the new equipment, we didn't get done this year. So that'll take place next year.
and a good portion of those are coming out of our redevelopment fund and our capital funds. You'll see that. So the next one was our Cherry Days. When you're thinking about Cherry Days, don't think about July 2 months ago. Think about July 14 months ago. That's what this is measuring right here is our Cherry Days, where we landed. Our revenue goals were short of what we wanted to have in terms of what we had predicted in our budget.
How did it compare with this year?
We did worse this year.
Worse this year?
Yeah. So
We're not getting enough donation.
We're not correct. We're not getting enough donations. And so we're going to have to probably look at, yeah. And the good news is we had some fund balance that was able to offset that. So we're not having to subsidize the Cherry Days fund from the general fund. But we do have to ask some hard questions about what do we need to do to bring in more revenues to subsidize the event? And are there some events that we might want to look at cutting out because they're expensive? So those are just some things we have to kind of talk about. But those are sort of our three main general funds that we've looked at in the past. The others are our our enterprise funds. These are funds that operate like businesses. The accounting methods on them are just like you'd see in private industry. And one thing to note on there is that while it appears that our expenditures are in some cases wildly over our revenues, we still haven't adjusted down those expenditures in terms of when we determine what the capital expenditures were that need to be moved to our assets, it will reduce those expenditures down. So we're still in the process of trying to determine that. That will move down. It will then roll over onto our asset account. It's in terms of the projects that we're doing to improve our utilities and the capital that we're investing into our utilities. So
Did that have to do with our new tank up there? Or was that totally in a capital
so I think
thing?
one of the tanks was covered by ARPA last year.
Good portion of it.
Yeah. So that was expensed a year ago. And that was already capitalized, I think, a year ago, but that's a good question. That might be something that we didn't fully capitalize yet. So we've got to take a look at that and see if that needs to be moved over.
Because I think, Peter, what we need to do there is show the operating of the enterprise funds. You know, because you look at that, one could easily conclude, even though saying we don't know our account, that, you know, our water revenues are not adequate and that we're substantially under collecting. But as you pointed out, that includes some capital expenditures. But I think in the future, we've talked about this, we need to have an operating statement and then the capital expenditures down below.
Oh, correct. I think
Because, you know, I don't think,
so. Clawed out maybe and show
yeah, I
that.
think, you know, an operating statement of, you know, the revenues and the operating expenses, because that's what we base mostly the collection of our fees on. Obviously, we do have to collect enough to meet our future capital needs, but, you know, that would easily lead one to believe that, man, we better increase our water fees dramatically, which is not the case. Obviously,
Correct.
Some increases, but not to that extent.
Yes, yeah, that's very good to point that out. Yeah, that's when we're able to sort of recognize that will adjust. And I think in the future would be really wise to put those capital expenditures just in a different bucket, so it doesn't give so it gives a correct
Yeah, we want
impression.
to compare apples to apples.
Correct. Yep. So go ahead and go to the next slide.
Could we just back up one here?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I think what you're telling me that's very accurate in the aquatic center. The council could then conclude that they have reached the break-even point of the aquatic center. Because if that's correct, it shows revenues exceeding expenses, which would be the first time in the 6 years that
Yeah,
I've been here that there hasn't been a shortfall.
and we
in the
raised
aquatic
fees,
center.
didn't we?
We have raised fees a couple
Uh-huh.
times, but that's still a little bit surprising versus what Jamie said we'd have to do to break that thing even.
Well, and we were also careful. I went and took a look at one of the things that we did do, because I didn't want to include revenues that were intended for fiscal year 26 and 25, because there could be some of that going on. But one of the things that we decided to do was, if you bought a season pass, any revenues that went into season passes go into the next year, because they're not considered fully expensed until the season's over. And so it kind of defers it. So I'm not borrowing from today to pay for tomorrow.
The end of June, we still have at least
Correct.
2 months left of
That would make it even better though if we deferred revenues.
We did. We deferred revenues.
That doesn't jive with the information the council's been given historically. Because Jamie said the break-even point would be like 1150, I think, didn't she?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
You know, we're at 950, I think.
1150 is the,
She said that was the break-even point.
oh,
But what we're showing here is that the aquatic center actually made money this year.
we also had a very hot summer. So, you know, in years past, we've had rainy summers, and that can always be a predictor. But it might be useful to, one of these times, to go through and look at a historical analysis of the aquatic center and kind of do a deeper dive into that, to spend some time looking at that in terms of its past and sort of predicting what its
Well, that's the
future.
first thing I noticed when I looked up there, because we've been looking to get to this point for a long time, so.
6 years.
If we've really achieved
Could be
it,
longer than that. Yeah,
if we really achieved it, then that's,
it could have been longer than 6 years we've been waiting. Yeah.
you know. So, because we've done some fee raising and so forth, so if we've really hit the right point, you know, because we didn't want to get the fees too high, so people go other places, but this shows that they're not, if this is the
Yeah.
graph.
Yeah.
Well, it's always tricky sometimes too for those, this program operates over the middle of the year end.
Yeah,
And so we might find a
Happen.
couple of surprises, but for right now, especially on the revenue side, looked at it 2 or 3 times. I think we're safe on the revenue side. So,
okay.
and the one thing I did have on the expenditure side, that I was concerned about, I think we got that booked in the correct year as well. It was like a SCADA software program or something. So anyway,
It'd be awesome if that's the case, but, you know, the council was just criticized by some members of the community for not raising it up to the $11 that was suggested, so.
Okay.
You know, it would be good to maybe get some information on the number of attendees there. Was the increase in fees that got us there, or was it an increase in the number of people coming to the aquatic center?
Yeah,
I mean, that's very good, but it's a bit of a surprise.
yeah.
it surprised me too. So, okay, go to the next one.
So temper down our rejoicing for now.
Yeah, for a minute. And this particular slide, just looking at general fund and just looking at the revenue in the general fund, what this does is it breaks down by certain categories of revenue to see how we met our revenue goals. If you want to note, the one that underperformed the most was our grants and transfers in. We had projected a lot of grant revenue coming in that we didn't recognize. It's hard sometimes to budget for grants.
Yeah,
You
presume they're gonna say yes.
but the nice thing about grant budgeting is that you're gonna have an offset of expenditure. They go hand in hand. So if you don't get the money,
You don't spend it.
you can't spend the money.
Yeah.
And so it sort of offsets itself in that respect. The other one was interest earnings were down from our budget. Part of that was making sure that we had our interest revenue in the right buckets. So we had some interest revenue sitting in the general fund and related to our US bank bond, and then some sitting in the capital fund. When I went through and trued that up, we had to move some more of that over into the capital fund according to how we've done it historically. And so if you look at it overall, if you were to put it all together, we ended up outperforming on that bond in both budgets, the capital and the general fund, by over $200,000. So that's sort of to understand why that's been down. That's why that's there. Any questions on this particular slide? All right, let's go to the next one. There we go. So this is the expenditure side of the equation, just in the general fund. And what this looks at is all of our departments. And so the bars, there's actually a better graph later on that we'll look at that will sort of, I think, make this a little more clear. This just shows what percentage of our expenditures were spent in terms of our budget. So the second to the top line there is the 100%. Anything below that means that we stayed under budget. We had a couple of departments that went over budget. And one that just squeaked over budget that's so small that it's not worth even worrying about. I think it's like $7 or something like that. But we had 2 departments that did go over budget. One was our our community service and animal control. Weber County has an assessment for the animal shelter that we didn't anticipate in the budget amendments and budget updates that ended up putting us over budget there, that we just didn't catch when we did our budget adjustments. And so that's why that ended up going over budget. The other one is a non-departmental. So not the non-departmental budget went over due to our sales tax improvement. So when we have our sales tax, there's a piece of that sales tax that's an offset cost for administration. And we made the decision to record that as an expenditure down in the non-departmental budget. And I wonder if that would work better as a contra expense up in the revenue line. So it shows when we do have really good sales tax year, we don't want to ruin our expenditure budget because it's also going to expense more on the bottom line, or not bottom line, but it's going to show more expenditure in expenses and put us over budget there because of unanticipated revenues. And I don't want to put that in the expenditure line because of that.
Sounds like just showing sales tax net would be a good idea.
And I don't know why they split it out in the first place.
Council is exercising their authority. But,
I thought that was a fun direction from our finance director at the time.
Well, there might be a reason to show it separated out, but it might be better off showing it again in the revenue side of the budget as an offset. If that makes sense.
but if you had an overall line, it looks like we would be under budget by a couple of percent or so.
Yeah, and I do have an overall line. So if you go to the next slide, I think this shows, there's your overall. That top green line is this is just another way to represent that same graph, just to show the, just by color, which ones went over, and then the green is the overall. So
if you were to weight these things, police would weight way up there, right? I mean, that's where most of our expense
well,
is.
so I've got another graph that will sort of show you what pieces of the budget contributed to our surplus. So when we get there, you'll be able to see that as well. But this one just kind of gives you an overall sense. 97% is where we landed in our expenditures. So we stayed under budget overall, 97%. I will have to say though that the reason we were able to do that though is not always for great reasons. It wasn't like we were just being more frugal. We have turnover in staffing, and people quit, and we hold positions open. And so the churn and the turnover that it takes to sometimes fill those positions.
Yeah, you have a gap and you save money because you're not paying a salary.
But there's downsides to that too, by not having those people in place too. So it's not something that you want to necessarily celebrate too much. So going to the next slide, what this one does is just sort of break it down by quarter. So that you can kind of see the ebbs and flows from quarter to quarter, spikes throughout the year that can help plan for cash flow. So if you notice in that second quarter, that tends to be where we get most of our money, which makes sense because that's when we get our property taxes, and a lot of our year-end revenues from the county come in. And so that's going to pop that up more in the second quarter. Cherry Days revenues, typically you would only see revenues in the first quarter, but that fourth quarter that's just a reflection of adjustments that were made. And so we had some adjustments that were made from prior year that we had to move to put into that position. The aquatic center, again, revenues, you're looking at summertime. So the first and the fourth quarter, those are our summer months. You'll see the revenues there. And then the rest of the funds, you can kind of see that it sort of is fairly even. The water fund pops up there in the fourth quarter a bit because that's a summer month. And so you'll see a lot more water usage in that fourth quarter.
That being the case, why isn't the first quarter?
I don't know.
That's a summer month too.
Yeah, it is. My guess is that,
Well,
June, you'll see that
We're-
April, May, June, you're
we're
probably
we're
still
not
not,
supposed to be using that water to water our lawns and so forth.
it's not as hot, right? So
Well,
June, July, August, you're gonna
No,
be,
we use
July,
the,
September?
we use the lake money, the lake water. you know.
Oh.
Yeah, the Pine View is what should show.
Oh, that's right, you're right.
Fluctuation. Yeah, this is culinary use.
Well, maybe people use a lot more culinary water too, and to water things. I know I use culinary water to fill up my swimming pools, just a little kiddie pool, right?
Oh, okay.
Not a
Yeah,
huge,
I was gonna say.
you know, the toys and stuff in the backyard for the
Yeah,
kids, we're
yeah.
using I just use the house hose to fill it up,
Yeah,
so,
That could account for the higher amount though in the fourth quarter,
yeah,
because that's when you fill up the pools.
yeah. I mean, the reason this is important and useful is this helps us watch it gives us an impression of where the money's coming and going. And then if you go to the next slide, that's the expenditure. That's the expenditure side. So you can see that, again, if you see cherry days, all the expenses, you'd expect those to be in the first quarter in July,
and that's where they
and
are.
that's where they are. And the aquatics, most of their expenditures happen in the first and fourth quarters. The other funds, what you're looking at is largely scheduled and unscheduled maintenance. So, like for the water fund, you can see it kind of hops up and down. That helps me go, maybe we should ask some questions about how they schedule their maintenance, how much of that is scheduled, how much of that was because, you know, something breaks and you got to fix it. And that's when we did it. So,
Every year we have our repiping, right? Relining.
correct.
Yeah, relining, yeah, we're continuing that.
If Dave was here, he could film us in on, you know,
Yeah.
sort of the scheduling side of this. And then the final graph I have, and this probably would have made sense to put up in the slides a little bit, but this was the question you asked, Grandy, as to what's contributing to our surplus. And what this kind of shows us is that by far, above and away, it's our taxes, and that's when I say taxes, it's our sales taxes. They really popped us up there. And then the second one was the police department. Made an impact again by holding positions open and not spending money. Sometimes because they didn't have a choice because they didn't have people to fill positions. But those are the two that made the biggest impact to the general fund surplus. And then on the offset side, we already talked about that in the very beginning, was the lack of grants and the interest earning splits sort of make that contribution. So this slide's really useful because it's in total dollar terms versus just percentage. And so the scalability of it gives you a sense of how the monies are contributing to the final effect of the general fund budget. So that's pretty much it for the general fund, or for the presentation of the quarterly financials.
On that one slide, a couple back, you had where you did adjustments in the fourth quarter.
This one?
Yeah, 14.5%. That sounds like that it wasn't carefully put in to start with.
So there are revenues from the prior period.
Uh-huh.
Also when they're gathering.
Yeah, so there were donations that were booked in the wrong year, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And
now-
you get your donations for cherry days is in the spring.
Yeah, and there might, and it's this, so we're going clear back into the 24 year.
Yeah.
And there's some questions I actually have with Ben on how that's going to be represented. It may have to be represented a little bit differently,
Uh-huh.
but for now I ended up moving it from fund balance up into revenues to put it in the correct year, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I probably should have put it in the first quarter. That would have made more sense, but I was playing a lot of catch up with our books, and months were closed.
When did you come on?
I came on in April
Okay.
and May, so
Just before the end.
my ability to go back to June or to July was kind of hamstrung by that, so.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of time in that year.
Yeah. So that's essentially, that was pretty much all I had to report in terms of our income and expenses. We did share the financial report as well with the committee, and
You know, I didn't get it, Ryan. I didn't get all the information this time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Randy. It's linked on to the agenda when I send it, and I'm
Oh,
sorry
was
if
it?
I missed
Was it
that.
linked?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just didn't see it.
Yeah, I apologize. I should have let you know that. That's my fault. Do you want me to print anything off for you before we leave today or anything?
No, but if you could try sending it again to me.
You
just to
got
make
it.
sure.
Consider it done.
so that was distributed. So if anybody had any questions, I did have an opportunity to go through our financials and sort of look at where we stand on some of the things that you don't necessarily see with respect to expenditures and revenues, like your liabilities, your assets, some of those things that kind of get tucked away on your financial sheet that don't always appear. And so just generally speaking, I can just go through some notes here for your benefit. At the end of the year, we held nearly $1.2 million in fungible cash. So that's, cash just for operations, with the remaining 30 million growing in investment funds. So we've got two areas where we're putting our money for investments. One is our state pool, which is the lion's share is there, and then another 5 million and some change tucked away in a bond that we invested in a few years ago. And so that's sort of where our cash is sitting in terms of our cash assets.
Yeah, we're earning more in interest than we are spending on our loans. Is that right?
We are, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because of the mayor's put them in good spots,
So we're sort of being challenged, and we've talked about, just kind of making sure that we have the right cash balance. We need to have enough on hand for our operations. What's the right mixture? We don't want to have too little. We won't have too much.
Yeah.
But we want to have just enough and then put the rest of it in interest-bearing accounts.
Yeah. Yeah, they've treated us well the last few years.
Yeah. One of the things I'd like to take a look at, that I did where I just came from, is they instituted a sweep fund. You heard of those? Sweep funds, or sweep accounts at the bank, where the bank itself will kind of
pull it in and
Overnight fund,
yeah, they put it in overnight, and then you can get a couple $10,000, $20,000 off of that.
Yeah.
So
and then you can get it out when you need it. Yeah.
correct. And they sort of manage that. They're in the position to do that. So
I think our treasurer's in the process of putting together a cash flows needs. So we can invest, and then we need money with the projects we've got out there.
I am indeed.
And Randy, one thing that you made a comment that our balances are swelled. It might be because now we're budgeting for those things we know we're going to need. So we're accumulating the cash knowing that we've got commitments to do certain things.
Coming up. Yeah.
Before we just kind of hope for the best. We're budgeting it now.
Let me ask your opinion. You've served in other places. How do we look as a city?
well, my problem is that it's comparing apples to oranges, because I came from counties.
Oh, okay.
County's a little different entity. We don't have the utility revenues
Yeah.
and things like that. But
how's our cash position and our,
well, I mean, I'll just say this: where I came from, it was heavily reliant upon federal grants, and we don't have that problem here.
Yeah. Yeah, we want federal grants for the extra things we want to get done, but we don't want to rely on them to pay the,
Yeah,
the
so
staff.
I don't know if I have a real good answer for you in terms of city to city and, um, you know, but,
Well, let me ask you more straightforward. How are we sitting? Are we in a good position?
well, define good.
Well, so that we, so that we have our needs planned for in the future and we're managing day to day and our year to year.
I think we can take care of today's problems. It's tomorrow's problems that there's always an issue with in terms of like our roads and our capital and making sure that we have enough balance coming through that can then be pushed forward into those types of projects. And
Randy, we have budgeted for capital expenditures. We've got the funds there that we know of. We've got a good general fund balance for unexpected things like fires, floods, the things we've had. We've got a good, we're at, I think, 27% before we accumulate this year. Maximum is 35%, so we're kind of
In reserves.
in reserves. But we have identified out 5 years the capital expenditures that we have, and we're accumulating the funds to pay for those. So, you know,
It seemed to me like we are in better shape than we were 5 years ago, for example.
I would think so. I would think that, but I wasn't as deeply involved in the budget 5-6 years ago. So I think we are.
well, we also budget, we make those decisions to budget for those capital needs too.
here's the problem we've got. In answer to your question, and Peter pointed it out, is the roads. That's where we've got.
They've snuck up on us so that we've got more than we can do in a short time.
At that, cost just kind of skyrocketed. So,
I
you
think
know,
it's also gonna go like this too.
we looked at our staff has made a recommendation of here are roads that we've got to get immediate attention to. If not, it's gonna cost us a lot more if we let them go. But that's the decision that has to be made next, is how are we gonna fund keeping our roads in the right condition. We're one of, you know, we used to have a transportation utility fee. We removed that when the big lawsuit was going on. You may remember, they were saying, is this a tax?
Yeah.
Versus a fee? And so the next, that's the issue, and Peter pointed that out. I think we're in good shape on everything but the roads.
The roads.
And
So is this something that we would pull down our reserve fund to help do?
well, that would surely be the council's thing, but I don't think it's good to, you know, they call that the rainy day fund for a reason. That's there.
To use it on a regular fund kind of a basis.
Yeah, on regular maintenance, because you could easily draw your rainy day fund down very quickly to zero. So
How much is our rainy day fund in terms of dollars?
about three.
We're at
3.1?
3 point.
Is that before we've transferred into capital projects this year?
That's including, I believe, hold on, we have, what was it? Let me pull it up. Sorry, I thought I had included
It's
the
in that
dollar amount.
cash, basically.
Yeah,
We've
it's,
identified cash. 3.4.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we're about 3.1 plus we have the surplus coming in, so
we have.
about 3.5.
But that'll be
Our
transferred to
estimate
capital
was-
Correct.
projects.
So it's more 3, yeah.
And the engineer's estimate for roads is 100 million. So our reserve is not really gonna touch what we need.
Well, that's ideal.
Yeah.
We won't hit that.
I,
So then what are we spending now per year on our roads? What did we spend on this year here?
It's how you do that. For instance, you may ask the question, how much do we spend on road maintenance?
Yeah,
Because we do spend money, like next year, we'll spend a lot of money on widening 3100, 400. and 450 up to 3,100.
Uh-huh.
But that's not maintenance, right? The problem we got into is maintaining the roads we have. So the question may be, how much are we spending on maintaining our roads?
Yeah,
And it's primarily B and C road funds, which I think were 800, just, we didn't even get 800 this year.
Yeah,
It was
just
790,
shy.
Just shy of
800.
800,000.
so we depend on incoming money from somewhere else, it's from government to get to do this then, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know, you're fully aware generally, the developer pays for the road, at least 66 feet of it. If it's wider than that, the city then pays, like Mountain Road will be 80. And so the city will have to pay the 14 feet to have the wider road.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, but grants generally are for additional new roads.
I see,
Not
not
for
maintaining,
maintenance.
okay.
And that's the problem, as Council Barker said too, Councilmember Barker, is the cost of asphalt, cement, and everything has just gone, particularly asphalt, has gone out of this world.
Is that because of petroleum costs or?
You know, I don't know if it's demand,
It's demand. I have an opinion about that just because I ran federal funding.
wages.
The amount of dollars the federal government popped into the economy in 2021. I mean, that billions, trillions of dollars that they gave to
That
governments.
That Biden bill.
Well, it started with Trump and then Biden added on to it. I was in Utah County at the time and we were in the process of building several facilities. One was a new jail. And it went from like $10 million or something. Don't quote me on that. It quadrupled in price overnight. And part of that has to do with when you inject billions of dollars in the economy and then all the governments are out there trying to get contracts, all the contractors,
They can afford it.
prices go crazy.
That hit us that on the water tank. I think our initial was what, 2.1 million or 2.2. But it's right. As soon as contractors saw this government money out there and the demand was there, and it's never come back down.
But there'll be a flip to that because of the money has been turned off. And so I'm kind of in a wait and see mode to
Why
see.
has the money been turned off now?
There's no more, all of the COVID dollars have been expensed.
I see.
I think there's a little bit left to be expensed into next year, but for the most part, there's no new money coming from the federal government in these infrastructure projects unless they give us more. So I'm kind of watching to see what that does, because if that gets cut off, it might make some of our contractors hungrier.
Yeah, start coming down and be
So,
competitive.
yeah, I don't know. You don't know what the economy is going to do, but I recommend that we plan for the worst case scenario, but then be savvy, because if we're going into contract negotiation or looking at bids and we're in a recession, we could be a little more aggressive. So that's kind of that's my thoughts on it, at least.
All right, any other discussion or questions for Peter? All right, then we'll move on. There's no action to be taken on this, right? Okay. Go back to public comment. We have one or two members of the public online
No one has a raised
and
hand.
no raised hands. All right, we close public comment. Moving on to committee member and staff comments. Ryan, do you have anything?
I was just going to ask for your guys' assistance in scheduling the next audit committee meeting, which would be January, correct? Do you guys have any dates that wouldn't work for you to join? Or am I free to plan for it around the same time, January 18th-ish? Okay.
I think I'm gonna be out of the country.
Do we need to hold a meeting in December after the audit gets finalized?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I know you guys did it in January this year for the finalization of the audit last year.
We did.
I don't know what the deadlines are for getting that accepted by the city, but I would think that you'd want to have it accepted as soon as they're done.
So I was gonna say, if we hold the meeting in December, then we can take it to the council at the end of December, or the first part of January, just,
Okay.
we've done that before.
December 18th, this is Thursday. Does that seem to be good off the top of everyone's head?
Mhm.
I think that's what I'll put tentatively. I will send out an invite.
December what, the 18th?
December the 18th,
18th,
yes. 6 o'clock in this
Thursday?
building again, yes. Okay. And that's all the comments I had.
All right.
Thank you.
Peter, do you have anything else you'd like?
No, not this time.
Casey?
So I did run a couple of reports on our sports sites on the pool
Mhm.
for June 25 and June 24. It looks like in June 25, we brought in about $30,000 more in daily admission than June 24. So that was just a quick thing I ran on there. So
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a very nice facility, you know, I think it's attractive to people.
Mayor, do you have anything you'd like to share? Randy?
Well, with this scare talk about roads, I hope that doesn't get us thinking of too big of a pet tax increase next year. Would be my counsel. I'm, you know, the city's running a little tender on that, and I think we need to be careful we don't add another big tax year.
Well, the council is looking at bringing back the utility fee, traffic utility fee, or transportation utility fee.
And who would pay that?
Your utility bills. It'd be or put on your utility
Oh,
bill,
I see.
so it'd be a monthly fee. But it's still for discussion, we're still, so.
That would help us get money, but that can't go anywhere else, right? I mean,
They don't
that's,
go to roads, yep,
yeah.
road maintenance. Mr. Call, you're online, would you like to comment?
No, I don't have anything to add. It's been a good discussion from Peter and everyone.
Well, thank you, and I have nothing more to add, so I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion and